Hey Claudia, let me share my screen with you and we'll get started here. I pulled up your chart and then I pulled up on the outer ring is the 8th of May. I think you said yesterday was not the best day. And I think that we can see why. I really wish that on this software you could see the lines between two charts because I feel like it would make it a lot easier to like just look at it and be like, yes, that's the problem. Um, I don't know if you use any apps, like if you use AstroSeek or I don't know what some of the other ones are, but they might do that. And I would say like looking at that might be helpful in a chart generator that has just like the bold red lines for squares for the day that or oppositions and see like what it's touching in your chart because I think it's just nice to do that. On this one, I have to do it a little different. So, yeah, but I did see stuff. So you were right. You said, "Hey, I think something's going on. Uranus is squaring my Mars. That's got to be it." I think so too. I think Uranus was doing a couple of things on the 8th. It looks like it was making that Mars square, and then it was also squaring your moon. So you're gonna feel it both ways. So let's try to find it because my notes are not the most clear. So we have Uranus in 0 degrees Gemini. So everyone's feeling that new transition from Taurus, where we were more in the physical realm of our everyday lives, the tangible things, structure, finances, things in the Taurus energy are usually more obvious, I feel like, if there's some kind of disruption that Uranus does. We we see it, we feel it, we experience it through our senses in some way. So it's easier to pinpoint and see what is going on. But Uranus switching to Gemini now is not that easy. It's more abstract here in this mental plane. This sometimes can just be in our own thoughts and in our own communications. It could be shaking up how you interpret information from other people, how you perceive the events going on in your everyday life. So I think there's a little bit more ambiguity here with Uranus and Gemini anyway. And while ultimately I think Gemini or Uranus likes being in Gemini more than Taurus, it is a challenge through any type of human interaction because we're not always going to be able to predict what people are doing or saying. There's that uncertainty now with the communication piece. Ultimately, I think it is going to be like a big AI thing with that, but that's another story. So let's see, Uranus is squaring your Mars, and it's going to be getting closer in that than before it moves away, right? So this might be a theme for a little while if we fast forward the clock here. Let's see, we got it all through June, into July. Moving on here in August, when does Uranus retrograde somewhere towards the end of the year? So then it's going to go backwards. So this is going to be something you're sitting with for a little while. And since your Mars and your moon are in an opposition, this means that it's actually squaring your moon too. And the way the way you were describing it, I feel like it really is touching both. It's kind of like ping-ponging off the two. It's an overwhelm, it's an angst, and then it's an emotionally exhausting energy. Because if we think of Uranus as the chaotic one and the change and the sometimes genius, but it's a very yang energy in this Uranus Gemini, and it can be forceful. And a Pisces moon is not that. It is sensitive. It's yin energy. It's receptive. It's feeling. It's heightened awareness on the emotional level. So Uranus being the heightened awareness on the intellectual level of the outer is threatening to both of your other energies of your moon sign, this sensitive, very aware sensitivity for emotional, and then Virgo Mars, which is also yin energy, which is very receptive in the body too and the nervous systems. And Uranus in Gemini squaring your Mars in Virgo is going to have this like heightened nervous system reaction. And I know you mentioned that you are neurodivergent yourself already. So I feel like this is going to be a really triggering time for that. So you're going to want to take the necessary means to protecting your nervous system, doing some like grounding work or, some breathing exercises, really trying to incorporate into your Virgo routines so that you can not be overly reactive during this time because the moon is very reactive and Mars is very reactive. And Uranus is going to trigger that. And and that can lead to being stressed out. You really want to get in a state where you're still able to respond after a pause. And being triggered by this Uranus energy back and forth until it moves on completely um, is a really interesting time for you. But I think the silver lining here is that Uranus is the innovator. It's chaos, but it's for a reason. It wants you to learn something new. It's the higher expression of Mercury. What does your relationships look like? It's in your fourth house. So is this a time to see where the people in your family are stressing you out? And are you going to explode on them, or are you going to come down with an autoimmune thing because of them? Like it's asking you to innovate the way you react to these people and these relationships in this Gemini one-on-one communication. It's what we think, it's what we say, how we relate. Uranus being the higher expression of the Mercury energy here. It's saying, do I need to do something different? Do I need to turn this whole thing upside down and like in a freeing kind of way, right? Uranus is our liberator, our rebel, our freedom seeking. I need space and I need you guys to let me be who I am. Also, for you, it is the ruler of your Aquarius rising. And I always tell you, I think Aquarius rising is really the gift to your chart because it is liberated. It's not going to stay in the old. And in your family now, it's like, is everybody still stuck in the old? Are we like, is it driving you crazy? Are these people driving you crazy? And um, I think it's a great time that you got a little support animal because if there is chaos in the home, having like somewhere to just like get grounded and centered through your love channel. I think your Pisces moon is gonna absolutely love that. Plus Virgo Mars. I mean, Virgo is like the Saint Francis energy to me. And really meditating on that, on your love for animals and being emotionally connected in the way that you don't have to feel like there's ties connected to the love that you give these animals. And then in the love that you give to your relationships, I really feel like Uranus is asking though, like, how is this going for you? Are you able to communicate your emotions? Are you able to be seen as an assertive person? These are Mars and Moon questions. Are you getting the autonomy that you deserve? Are you are you able to breathe and move around in your home like you really want to? Um, and if not, then you might feel like frustrations. And then we have that it's not even just that. That's kind of like this T square going on for you. But you also have then this opposition to Pluto. And it's it's just saying then now like the triggers in the home are like stimulating this like projection into the career. And it's kind of just, when we work, we have to collaborate with people and we do form like emotional attachments to people. And you can be a person who becomes like emotionally vulnerable around people that you think you're connecting to at home and the career. Um, and it's just like a time that you're going to just navigate that kind of territory. Like, are you in this like deep Pluto Scorpio energy of like finding people that are transforming your career for the better? It's a new chapter, they could even be stress relievers. Um, It could be like a security for you outside the home. Maybe this is a way to help transition some of your energy into the career and really like an emotional stress relief. We don't think of Pluto like that really, but when I think it's opposing a transiting Uranus, I think it's an opportunity to lean into that energy for you and maybe lean into the opportunities that come from relationships that you can have outside the home or just a new level to the work maybe that makes helps you transform to leave the home one day if that's something you want to do. But I think there's this idea here that you could shift your emotional attachments from the home state to people in the work state and feel like the support maybe that it's just a good time that you could shake up your emotional support systems, right? Because Uranus is in this home energy and it wants something to change and innovate. It's touching your personal planets as far as Mars and the moon. So, like, something about how you relate to them needs to be checked or changed or innovated. You need more freedoms to say what you need or do or feel. The moon, we want to feel. They're both very reactive. How do you react when you feel triggered by family? And then to the top here, Uranus opposing this Scorpio energy. And then eventually it will oppose your Jupiter energy. I think what it's just saying like, hey, there's opportunities I think that maybe you're not seeing yet to where you could turn things towards the outer world more than you do. And I know that's not always super comfortable for you, but like maybe there's a chance that there's something that wants to like transform here. And I don't feel like it's like this tower moment of anything. I know Pluto always gets that reputation, but it's just kind of like I think it could be like an exciting like observation that there are deep people outside of your family, like people in the family. Like if Uranus is in Gemini, then maybe people in the Gemini energy of like the everyday, we just do things the way we do it. We're talking about the here and now. But like there's so much more to you than the here and now. You like to go deep with people. You have spiritual questions. I think this is kind of just saying like, hey, shake it up and like go there with people outside of the home. Like maybe there's this emotional vulnerability and like trust that you could have in other people that could like compensate a little bit for the lack of it in like your roots of the people that you are sharing a home with. Maybe the people that are deeper and like more emotionally available are with you out there in the public world where people see you in a whole different light and like go that way because there's people out there waiting for you and like they really could give you new depth to self, new layers that you want to uncover. And, Jupiter being there, like having trust in that process, that like the bigger, more time and more energy that you devote outside of the home might give you new opportunities and just be like doors opening. Uranus and Jupiter are just like, you don't even know because you don't know what you don't know, but you got to try. And I feel like your chart has said stuff like that before, like giving yourself the opportunity to explore outside the home, I think is a big answer to this. And just looking at how, um, Jupiter, or excuse me, Uranus in 0 degrees. I mean, it's just strong right now. Your Pisces moon is 0 degrees. You know, you're feeling it, and you might be feeling it on a heightened level, and it's just wanting a chance, maybe for some kind of change, because the moon can be our change too, and Uranus is innovation. So I think that's interesting here. And then at the same time, what else is going on here? There is something else touching a community. Oh, was it Chiron? Let's see, what is Chiron doing? I wrote down Chiron. I think it's the transiting one. So we got Chiron and Aries here at 28, and your Mercury is at 26. So I was just thinking, like, that's a square here between those two. And since Uranus is the higher expression of Mercury, it just made me think, like, are communications right now hurting you? And that's in the third house of like our everyday communication. So is it just a possibility that in passing, insensitivity can just touch you on a deeper level right now? And you might just feel that words are hurting you. And you just might be a little bit sensitive to that right now. And that maybe it's just nice to know that maybe that's not something you have to take really deeply and personally, that that just is what is moving through right now. And I don't think it has to be such a lesson. I think it's just that you can just keep that in mind, and try to find the light energy in other people, even when they show you their dark side, because your mental, you're just turned all the way up right now between all this energy. So you're going to pick up and hear and think and feel everything. So try to focus on the good ones and see where you can let go of the negative ones and not take it so personally. And then also, but where it does need to be personal in the home front, maybe, or with people who feel like home to you, or your actual living situation, like what your room looks like. Maybe there's things that want to change, and that Mars energy might make you feel driven to do that. So this is a time of um, doing things where you can and trying not to be reactive where you don't need to be. Because you don't want to wind up, these are personal planets involved. So you just don't want to wind up being the one that gets hurt because of this. So focus on your grounding techniques, your meditation, your ability to pause, and then your ability to see, well, what would I like to see change overall in the way I communicate with some people and who I communicate with. Are there people out there who I should be spending more time with on deeper things? And then just stay surface level with the people that can only handle that, that I need to broaden my horizons a little bit and then let go of everything else. Okay, I'll stop here. Let me know if you want to see anything else. All right. Hope you're feeling better. Bye.